exciting maybe in the future. Who knows? Juwan
Eventually.
Jennings, so it sort of we'll see what you guys do, but yeah, d disappointment. We talked smack a little bit about the Texans last week, and they showed up, so I think they're listening to our podcast,
Mhm.
not wanting to
Yeah.
be the talk of the show, but
This movie was chaotic. I think that's probably the best word to put it. Another word that comes to mind that I think explains it even better is unhinged. And I think
all right, welcome back, everybody, to the bar with Banter on the Rocks. Hopefully, you guys have grabbed your drink, kicking back, and ready just to talk some wild takes, some good laughs. And before we get going, if you're tuning into the show for the first time, for the 61st time, whatever amount of times, tap that follow button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and smash that subscribe button on YouTube. It's free, it helps us out, and it keeps the banter flowing every week. And before we get into all the juicy, great topics we got today, as always, we want to discuss our brand ambassadorship. We are brand ambassadors for Find the Good brand. Find the Good is focused on the good and building a community of people who want to help find the good. For all purchases, Find the Good gives back 10% to Mental Health of America organization. So when you order and use our promo code BANTER805, you will receive 10% off your purchase. So that's 10% for you and 10% back to mental health. Remember to use the code BANTER805 for 10% off. And the mission for Find the Good is simple. Find the Good is here to help you get through the bad days, the breakups, the ups and downs, and whatever else stands between a smile and a smile on your face. I'm feeling it. I'm trying to find a lot of good right now with Dodgers still playing. It's Monday, October 27th. Game 3, World Series, going into bottom of the 12th. Been a tough game and just trying to find a way to find the good, even though it's not feeling too good at times when your team plays. But on today's show, we're going to discuss just the NFL recap as always, week 8, MLB postseason. We'll talk some NBA. We have some movie and TV talks and much, much more. And what's pretty cool about today, something Tim mentioned, and a lot of you who are sport fanatics that may notice, it's a big sports equinox today. Today is where every major sports team is playing a game, at least. So the NFL played Monday Night Football. We have MLB, World Series, NBA had some games, hockey, I think there were 2 games, and even MLS, they had some of their playoff games. So every major sports conference in the US played today. So good day for sports.
very cool. Yes, love it. It's the opposite of July
Yeah.
when there's
Oh, yeah.
MLB All-Star break.
There's absolutely nothing. So, to get started, we'll start with our banter drinks of the week. And as for the last few weeks, what I've been doing is my fasting, getting ready for Hawaii. So sticking to water again. Like I say, we're getting ready for a little joint family trip. We got our families going, so it'll be a fun time in Hawaii. After this week, we will be taking a 2 week hiatus, so we'll probably just be posting some of our favorite clips, maybe creating some montage clips for you guys while we are gone. But we will be doing trying to do some content, in Hawaii while we're out there.
For sure. Looking forward to it. Excited. Can't believe how quickly it's sneaking up on us here. It's already
Yep.
going to be next week. Never a bad time to go to Hawaii, though.
Yeah.
Me today, I am splurging a bit. Didn't eat too much today, so the splurge, yeah, maybe it's not the greatest cherry on top, but you know what? Hey,
Yeah.
case of the Mondays a bit. Having a Pacifico
Nice.
today, so yeah, it's refreshing. Good. Rained all weekend. Nice day today. I hate those where it rains all weekend when you're
Hmm.
off, and then you're at work, and then it's nice and
It's
beautiful and sunny.
nice. Yeah. It is.
Crazy.
It's just the way the weather gods go. I think here
Mhm.
we haven't seen any rain. I don't know if we'll see
Oh,
it.
okay.
been getting a little warm, so not too bad, but just want sweater weather to get here. Can't
For
get here
sure.
soon enough. But yeah, those are our drinks of the week. So we'll just jump right into our banter takes. As always, our banter takes are where we each drop hot takes to each other, takes we haven't seen before. We're going to defend them like they're gospel, and just let some chaos unfold at times. Some are very bold, some are outrageous, but all are guaranteed to stir the pot. And, sometimes they are very accurate, sometimes they're not. But until proven right or very, very wrong, we're going to be rolling with these takes. We're not going to back down from them. And as always, we go on TikTok live on recording days just to have you guys join. If you guys want to ask questions, join in the banter while we're recording. We're on there as well, so always join us. Um,
There you go. A little bit quicker this week. I finally decided to favorite the background.
the background. Okay, nice. All right. So my first take. NIL and the transfer portal has altered college sports to the point where it now needs to be privatized and made into an official minor league system. Yeah, we would talk a lot about NIL a lot of last season with college football. I don't think we've discussed it much this year, but we know about it. I think it's just something now normal. But with how much money goes into the NIL and all these schools, it pretty much is a minor league system, because the goal for a lot of these youth before NIL money was play 1 year or play until you're eligible, especially I think in NCAA basketball, all you have to play is 1 year and then you qualify for the NBA. Where
Mhm.
now I think every now and then, unless you're the top overall pick, the way Cooper Flag was this year, you may not jump into the NBA until you graduate, your school because you're getting NIL money and it's going to be even more than your NBA paycheck, especially if you're not a top 3 to 5 pick, maybe. That
Mhm.
NIL money is already so much better. And, continue building your game and just help up your draft stock, because everything NIL related is just about money. You're seeing all these big players playing for big money, and some of them aren't even performing. Um, so it's very. I'm surprised it hasn't really, or I think we've called it the minor league system a little bit, but
Mhm.
I'm surprised it hasn't been recognized that way yet.
Yeah, for sure. Completely agree. Yeah, I feel like, we're at the point where NIL isn't just controlling what the players are doing, transfer portal
Hmm.
included in this. I feel like it's also dictating the longevity of coaches
Hmm.
throughout, NCAA football, for example. This past weekend, Brian Kelly was fired. Previous to that, it was Franklin with Penn State.
Penn
I'm
State.
not saying that they didn't really deserve it, but I'm
Hmm.
just, a big part of it is I think I read somewhere this past weekend where the LSU firing wasn't of Brian Kelly got a little messy. I think that there was a lot of figures that were involved in it, obviously top donors of the program, mixed in with I think maybe the mayor or governor of Louisiana was
No
mixed
way.
into it as well. And it was a little bit less with the athletic director. So
Hmm.
I it kind of goes to show that, there's a lot more leverage now that money is at play. Before there was, but they
Hmm.
couldn't be quite as prominent with it.
Yeah.
It always seemed under the table. It was always a little like more hidden. Now it's just
Yeah.
out in the open because, money's everywhere with NIL and um, everything in college athletics. So, at this point, they either need to, I don't know, whatever's left of the NCAA managing corp to,
Hmm.
govern and create some rules and boundaries to this, or they just need to privatize it all somehow
Yeah.
and officially make it into a minor league,
Hmm.
affiliate of Major League Sports.
Yeah. It should be because like one of the other things I've seen, and I'm trying to understand it. I don't know if you understand it a bit more than I do, Tim, but the head coachings when they get fired, the buyout money, from what I've heard reports, the buyout money this year already for some of these coaches, Franklin, Kelly, these schools are paying so much money to buy out their contracts because of how much they invested in them. And like I say, it's just like, where are you getting this money as a school? You're a private school, a majority of these are, but like your NIL money is so big to pay these big name coaches, and then they fail, and you have to just pay all this money to sort of buy them out. So it's something that I've been wanting to sort of read into a little bit more. Like, how does it work? Like this contract buyout stuff.
That's a big part of it. So I did see a video, God, maybe a week and a half ago regarding, I think it was a lesser known D1 school. I
Hmm.
want to say it was somewhere in the Carolinas, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. But somebody got a hold of like, I don't know, the buyout payments that the coach was
Hmm.
receiving. And I want to say it was like upwards of $125,000 weekly. Weekly. So it was
Okay.
just an outrageous number. And then you kind of combine that with, like coaches like Brian Kelly. I think his buyout was 45 million. I think
Yeah.
Franklin's is
I think
upwards of
50.
50.
I think it's 50.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just an astronomical number, and they're paying it out weekly. It's like,
Hmm.
I'm sure a lot of the money was maybe already allotted, but then, you're
Hmm.
having to back pay another coach to come in, and it's like, these donors already give a crap ton of money.
Hmm.
When does this begin to affect the level of coach that you're obtaining,
Hmm.
because you have so much money allotted to, these previous coaches.
Yeah.
It takes me back even with the NFL. Like, the comparable would be the Raiders. I feel like the Raiders were paying
Yeah.
like three, four coaches at the same time at one point in
Yeah.
time. So,
Uh-huh.
it gets a little hectic, and then you combine that in college sports, and yeah, it's as of right now, it's just going to keep happening,
Hmm.
where these donors, they're throwing more money at these programs than ever. They're going to have a lot more say with this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then for these athletes coming in, I guess it doesn't, well, it affects the program because recruiting,
Hmm.
transfer
Yeah.
portal stuff, it's going to affect that. But as far as like building a program and these players, like the players are like usually two and done, one and done, one and transfer type thing. And
Hmm.
it's like, how long can you even hold on to them? So the coaching changes and the infrequency of
Hmm.
coaches, can affect a program for sure. But
Yeah.
these players, man, it just seems like, hey, I'm required to make this stop here in
Hmm.
college, then I'm going to go pro for, obviously the
Yeah.
top athletes.
Yeah. No, yeah, and we talked about it last year a little bit because I think we saw it a lot in the basketball. We saw it some in college football, but
Hmm.
a lot of these big name players that weren't going to go into their sports draft, they went into the transfer portal, went to another school, and I think got even more NIL money. Look at Nico with Tennessee, who tried to do that, sort of backfired, went to UCLA for less money, but Carson Beck, went from Georgia to Miami. I think he got a nice little NIL bag,
Yeah.
and the way he was playing well at the beginning of the season, I don't, he hasn't been playing as great. So, that's a guy, don't know if he's senior, don't even know his year at the moment, but like if he has another year of football, it's like, okay, put my name back in the hat. If I do well, these big name schools might look at me and give me an extra 2 million, and just get even
Mhm.
more money. Because I think it was happening a lot in basketball. All the small name schools that
Mhm.
perform at March Madness, that make a name for themselves, they go to these big name schools. And that's why we talked about it. We didn't see as many upsets this year as we have previous years in March Madness.
For sure. Yeah, that's made a big difference. It's like the power schools are the ones that are most pronounced because
Hmm.
it eliminates that recruiting element. It's the biggest cash grab you can get. And then,
Yeah.
maybe a way to govern this was, the salary cap, I guess, on these
Hmm.
teams, and, implementing that as we discussed previously. But as of right now, it just feels like the wild, wild west,
Hmm.
and it's just constant up and downs, and we'll continue to see, just, I guess, the
Yeah.
frequency of coaches, heading out. And, this kind of pairs in, I don't know, Tennessee's coach for baseball is now
Hmm.
the San Francisco Giants head coach.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think he was the first. manager
Hmm.
to make go straight from college baseball managing to straight into the pros being a manager, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. I think that's the first time that's happened. So
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe the first of many possibilities.
Many, yeah.
Obviously, in the NFL, it's happened.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm curious to see if it'll happen a little bit more frequently, especially with,
Yeah.
these coaches, at times probably wanting to head out. Nick Saban saw all the changes coming and
Yeah.
said deuces.
Yeah, yeah, he left before it changed, to the way he likes it. Because he ran college football for years because of his recruiting efforts, his we could call it his NIL endorsements that weren't really ever on any books, but we know he probably did some NIL stuff. Um, but yeah, it's crazy. If privatized, who should be like the owners of these colleges? Should it be the colleges that sort of take ownership and sort of affiliate themselves with a certain team, or how do you think it should look?
That's a good question. It's maybe it's a pool of investors, which is,
Hmm.
your top donors, providing the salaries, and then you have, athletic directors
Hmm.
kind of being the GMs in a way and mix in with the coaches being GMs also. Maybe that's kind of the best idea I could think of. It's so new. I think that's the only way I can kind of think of it. And then you have some
Yeah.
type of commissioner being,
Hmm.
the central NCAA, establishing
Hmm.
um, like a salary cap implementation and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But then, you know, do the players unionize at that point? And then you have to
Yeah.
come up with
A
yeah, it's a
union.
big mess. Yeah, way above my salary.
Our pay grades a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, it'd be curious because like I'm thinking like what if you make it like minor league for all these sports, the only real minor league division right now or big sport that has minor league is baseball with double A, triple A, hockey. I don't know if they do. Soccer has like their developmental programs. Football, it's pretty much college. That's your minor league. So how would it work out? It's just would
Exactly.
be curious.
Yeah. Yeah. NBA, I feel
Hmm.
like that they get more talent from Europe these days than they ever do
Yeah.
with the G League.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I don't know, but I think that with your take, it's just we're nearing that point for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah, I think so because there's so much money and it's like how's it gonna affect? We talked about it. Hawaii, that's a place where NIL people, p- donors in Hawaii should be putting money into the players back on the island because all Hawaiian player team you would run make a good run for that NCAA championship,
Hmm.
the college football trophy. So it's sort of how do you put the money back into some of these schools, these small name schools. But yeah, it's interesting.
For sure. Yeah, I guess we'll see how it shakes out, and
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
see if they can kind of govern this a little bit better.
Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
here is your next take.
All right. Got my next take here. Sorry, I'm trying to look at this Dodger game at the
Oh,
same time. I
oh
got it
yeah.
on the
Oh, I got
dual screen.
it. So
Otani's
do I.
coming up. Got Edmund on third. Two outs in the
Uh,
bottom of the 13th at the
well,
moment.
I got something different. I got bases
Oh,
loaded, two outs, Freddie Freeman.
oh boy. They updated it. Oh,
Yeah.
I pushed refresh. There we go. Several minutes behind.
Yeah.
All right. Man. Oh, repeat of last year with Freddie Freeman.
Maybe. We'll
Imagine.
see. Imagine.
Man, that'd be nuts.
Uh,
Okay, got my next take here. Live sports and no longer are no, oh
is.
sorry, Freddie struck out. Live sports and is no longer about competition, it's entertainment and who is there. Fan experience and spectacle they can make out of the game. Yes, it's drastically changed. I
Mhm.
don't know, where you want to start with that necessarily. You could say, money talks.
Hmm.
in how, different money is now compared to even how it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, even. Obviously
Yeah.
compared 50 years ago, it's going to be drastic, but you know, that's a part of it is, are how many of these players nowadays are just collecting a paycheck and moving on, um, and having that mentality. You know, I hate to say it, but with the amount of injuries going on in multiple leagues at the same
Yeah.
time, is what are their off seasons looking like?
Hmm.
How much time are they putting in? Are they, keeping the muscle on well? Obviously, a lot of players do that, and I won't take that away from them. But,
Hmm.
it just kind of makes you think like, is there some other type of routine that needs to happen? Because it
Yeah.
just feels like injuries are getting worse and are far more prominent now really than
Yeah.
ever. I'm not talking about freakish injuries and stuff like that, but it's something, that's drastically changed. And then, comparing that into kind of what gambling's made it. And I feel like this is the
Hmm.
perfect leeway into the big news over the weekend with the NBA
Hmm.
in particular, and with the arrests of Chauncey Billups in a poker ring affiliated
Yeah.
with the mafia, crime families, as they announced, and Terry Rozier, who we saw being investigated about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I guess the NBA came up and said, there's not conclusive evidence. FBI said otherwise this past
Yeah.
week and, arrested him with that. And, cue the lowlights montages of Terry Rozier over the last couple of years, because there's certainly a lot of them. Um, and is this drastically changed things? Gambling's obviously always been there.
Hmm.
But I think the convenience of it and how easy it is to be kind of looped into gambling,
Hmm.
in sports in general is a big deal. So, um, kind of pairing all of those things, you can kind of dig a little bit deeper, and it feels like every sport at the moment has a huge microscope under it,
Hmm.
especially the NBA.
Yeah.
But the NFL is definitely there as well. We talk about and banter on this podcast a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs and the calls that they get and how questionable they can be. And I feel like a big part of that is gambling. It's
Hmm.
it's an easy leeway into, hey, let's if they did an investigation, let's make some comparables. Obviously, UTEP did
Yeah.
that recently, and we brought that up. We think about other things like the NBA and in players accessing, I guess understanding their props a little bit better and kind
Hmm.
of, changing things with that. And then Tim Donaghy back in the day, getting in, he's another ref that was, put a huge, nasty scar on the NBA altogether. So, it's been there, but now it's just so much more prominent and the microscope is only getting bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the sports betting thing, that's been so crazy to see what happened with Chauncey Billup, Terry Rozier, the coach from the Cavs.
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of videos of that J.R. Smith fumble versus the Warriors was
Oh yeah.
all about making money, and we I I don't think I've talked about it much here. I think in text message groups with like you, Chris, I've talked about it like, okay, Las Vegas is winning this one because there's a script
Hmm.
to it. Because I do some of the sports betting, some of the, the player props, and I read at times like, the biggest player prop played is like, say it's Derrick Henry for rush yards against one of the worst, defenses. You could sort of look at Bijan this past week. I could
Hmm.
imagine his player prop for rush yards, rush receiving yards were probably some of the most played player props this week, and it lost against a horrible defense because Atlanta just who knows if they just really do suck or this was just a script, you know? Because NFL is part of all these betting organizations, so they make money, NFL makes money, so there's a reason for it. Um, but what to take, I don't think live sports as times is always about competition anymore. It is, I think, during playoffs, baseball like this. But I see a lot of sports now more about the spectacle. The reason I brought this take to you is because game two of the MLB, I don't know if you saw, Jonas Brothers played a mini, like a one song concert in the fifth inning
Oh,
that
did
went a
not see
little
it.
it went a little longer, and a lot of Blue Jay fans were complaining that, oh, you're taking momentum away from the Blue Jays. If we lose, it's the Jonas Brothers' fault. And it's like, yes, I had a response to it. I was like, we're in the same boat as Dodgers. We're waiting just as long as you, so it would take us away. Yamamoto's just a beast, so
Hmm.
he's gonna pitch a complete game no matter how much you make him wait. But it's sort of like everybody was there for that. That was the big talk about. That's what people pay for. At times, if you know someone's going to be performing at a game, you're going to go to it.
Hmm.
If they said Taylor Swift is playing at halftime for this next Chiefs game that isn't a Super Bowl, that Chiefs game will be sold out just for that Taylor Swift performance at halftime. You know, baseball, they do their giveaway nights. Some of them are very basic, bobbleheads, but there's been a few giveaway nights. We've seen the lines out Chavez Ravine, into the parks, people waiting hours to go for the Shohei bobblehead. The
Yep.
big one I remember seeing this year was the One Piece night where they gave away the One Piece hat and the trading card, the One Piece trading
Yep.
card that people were selling on eBay for like hundreds of dollars, for something that just was part of your ticket admission. And that's why people just went for it. They went for that. They didn't go see the game. So I think sports is sort of going into that direction more than the competition. I think the only time people really care about sports that aren't really sports people are during the playoffs, are during these big games. So um, it'll be interesting where it goes.
For sure. Yeah. In that's a really odd time to have a Jonas Brothers concert is after the
Yeah.
fifth inning. Usually
Yeah.
bottom, middle seven.
Hmm.
Or is it bottom? I think it's middle seven where, you do take me out to the ball game
Yeah.
and, you take a little bit longer in between innings, you sing out. It seems like, well, I guess it's kind of the same pace, but I don't know. I just a sloppy
Yeah.
thing for the MLB to kind of schedule. Why wouldn't you just make it part of, the intro to the game? It's kind of like
Hmm.
they did with Ice Cube last year.
Yeah.
That makes a little bit more sense. And then I don't know, just Jonas Brothers. I know they've been touring. Um,
I think they're are
I
they
don't
I think they might be Canadian. That's why.
no, I think they're from
Are
Jersey.
are they? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think they're from Jersey. So
Okay, that
it's
makes
just
no sense
really
then.
odd. Yeah. Michael Bublé makes more sense.
Yeah.
Bieber, Drake. I
Yeah.
don't know. Drake made an appearance, just not performance wise.
Yeah.
I did see that. But yeah, no, very odd timing of it all. If they're trying to make a spectacle of, the entertainment portion again, the timing makes
Yeah.
things a big difference. And then you know, it, you brought up pitching with that. Pitching
Hmm.
is something where, pitchers have these crazy routines, and it's something that's, super, I don't know. If you take a pitcher out of their routine, it can alter a lot of things.
Hmm.
And that goes from pregame, that goes to, in game. There's some pitchers that, people they don't want teammates to talk to them just because they
Hmm.
get in the zone. They want to alter it. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those, kind of like, little juju things.
Hmm.
And yeah, and then you take a little bit longer in the fifth, again, changes the mood, changes swing. That's why, a lot of Blue Jays fans are bringing that up because they were the ultimate, team that
Yeah.
lost. Dodger fans maybe would have done the same if they
Yeah.
ended up
No,
losing.
yeah.
Who knows? It can go both ways. But again, both teams are kind of in it.
Hmm.
It's not favoriting one or the other
Hmm.
necessarily. I just think that, you're going to push more blame on it if your team loses. So
Yeah.
that's where it kind of came a lot more prominent, I'd say. But yeah, that and I just viewership. They're trying to maintain the viewers. They figure maybe, hey, Jonas Brothers are going to perform. That'll unlock, more people to watch it. I enjoy baseball, but I'm not one that even knew that performance happened, to be honest. Been trying to keep up with the scores, via just, apps and stuff like that.
Game
So
time stuff.
yeah, highlights. Just because my team's not in it. And,
Yeah.
but staying tuned is important as well. But
Hmm.
there's that. And yeah, just I think all things considered. I just feel like major league sports have just drastically changed,
Hmm.
for a number of reasons. But the spectacle of, what gambling's become,
Hmm. It
it's a lot
has to
dicier,
do.
man.
Yeah. It is, and I think it sort of puts a lot into it too, because a lot of these sports or these entertainers that go are promoters for these sports gambling, DraftKings, Underdog, uh, Bet MGM. You see them, even athletes in it. So, the sports betting thing, it was something I wanted to discuss because we did. I think it all came out. We recorded Tuesday last week, and I think it was like Wednesday morning or something, or Tuesday night
Just missed
after.
it.
We just missed it to talk about it last week, but like it's insane to see how this is what's going on, how closely it's investigated, and who else is going to be next. Because like I say, I think it's happening everywhere. Um, the players that got caught, Chauncey Billup, I never thought was that type of guy. He looked like a genuine nice guy from just
Mhm.
his playing days to coaching days. But man, to get into that, like how desperate are you for money when you're a multi-billion dollar or not, I'm not gonna say billions, I think $1 million star.
For sure. I haven't, I read into, some of it, listened to people talk about it. Was Chauncey the guy that kind of got involved through others to kind of
Hmm.
keep playing and
Hmm.
with the poker thing at least? Um, I guess he's been kind of affiliated with,
Okay.
questionable substitutions of a Avija. I saw something with
All
that
right.
with Denny Avija where I think Avija had
Oh
32
yeah, I
points in
think
the
I heard it.
game,
Yeah.
subbed him out in the last two when they were making a
Hmm.
huge run to kind of cut it close.
Hmm.
Super questionable, ended up losing the game.
Yeah.
Um, but all things are questions, and I think rightfully so, if you get caught for something like this. But, I'm not too sure, but kind of reading into like the poker side of it, evidently, is, it starts with, oh, so and so is gambling, they hang out there,
Mm.
they play poker, yada yada yada. Invite, somebody else to come in and then, obviously X-ray tables were involved,
Yeah.
card
Card.
machines that were
Yeah.
rigged, crazy kind of tech, kind of looking at it. And, through that, obviously people lose a ton of money. Imagine just being, just side tangent here. Imagine just being some rich dude that just thought, hey, yeah, it's a friendly game. And like you realize that you just got played for like a year.
Yeah.
You're like, crap, I'm down this much because I got cheated. But it starts with that. And then
Hmm.
that kind of evolves into some other things where, people I've listened to have discussed the fact that, hey, you're down big on these poker tables, but hey, you're involved in live sports, so let's, your player prop is set at 30
Hmm.
points tonight.
Yeah.
Why don't you, get 15?
Yeah,
How about
yeah.
that?
But go the under. We'll take off 30,000 out of your credit that you have with us,
Yep.
and you'll be able to continue playing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I remember last year. It is the one vivid one because it was a big bet I had, and it was I hate to throw my team under the bus, but I want to bring it up because I don't know if it was, but how of a coincidence because it was James Harden for points. They were down in the fourth, but they were making a comeback. And I think it was like 20 something points. He was 2 points away, didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. That makes no sense for your star player not to play at all in a fourth quarter when you're making a comeback. And I was like, this is rigged. It was at that moment I felt and I think a lot of sports is rigged. I
Mhm.
could be wrong. I still go back to it because I enjoy it. It's my little vice, you could say. I'm not putting like my mortgage and stuff like that down, but it's just shows that it could be rigged, and it's just crazy how you look at sports nowadays, and you just look at it and you're like, what's going on?
For sure. Yeah, all things are in question, and Yeah, it's a huge head scratcher. You brought up Derrick Henry, going up against the Browns earlier this
Hmm.
season. He came off of a performance where I think he rushed for like 150
Yep.
yards, a couple touchdowns, had the late fumble. I think it was a Lions game, right? And then or
Hmm.
was it after the Bills game? I forget which one.
It was after the Bills game because the Bills
Okay.
games he had that big fumble that sort of lost him the game.
Yep.
I think it was the Bill game too that he didn't rush as much as he did the first game. They like kept him out, and then the
Yeah.
Brown game, the same thing.
Yeah. And then, he ran the ball, I think like 8 times for like
Hmm.
16 yards that game. It was something abysmal.
Yeah.
And it was truly a head scratcher. And I hate to say it, I sent you a video this past weekend, John, where people are kind of questioning Lamar Jackson not playing.
I've heard.
But quite frankly, he's had a lengthy
Hmm.
stay on, being injured. It could be something as simple as, hey, I tested it out the Saturday before the game. Didn't
Hmm.
feel right. Don't want to force it. This is a high paid player.
Yeah.
It's probably genuinely that simple.
Hmm.
But because of the recent news,
Oh
it's
yeah.
garnering a lot of questions,
Hmm.
with people saying he was fine all week, practiced, didn't hear a thing,
Hmm.
morning of, he's not going to play.
Yeah.
So, but again, no matter who it is, I think it's going to be questioned. And Lamar
Hmm.
Jackson, probably one of the most heavily betted players when it
Yeah.
comes to props in all of the NFL. So,
Hmm.
those names are going to get a little bit more attention no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, you hate to see it when it's probably something so simple.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I get the narrative. But like I said, I think we've talked about Lamar Jackson where I'm like, I don't want him to come back till he's healthy because I know
Yep.
hamstring injuries, you don't want to mess with that. And especially Lamar Jackson, the type of running mobile quarterback he is, you need to make sure he's fine because if he
Hmm.
isn't 100%, he runs badly, he takes off, plants his foot bad or gets hit pretty bad, that could be season ending. And like I said, we'll talk more football in a while. But like the Ravens, we won this week, so we're still not on our fire sale mode, But like if he could come back, we have a chance. So it's like I think for him, it's about health. But yeah, I read these reports and I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it because I also heard and I thought he was gonna play this week from all the reports, but last minute got pulled. So it is. You mentioned you hit it right on the dot. Every player that goes through this or has an injury, it's gonna start getting questioned. Whatever the injury is or why they're not coming back, even if they're practicing all week, it's gonna be like, what are you guys trying to get at it? Where is this collusion going on? Because that's pretty much what it is. It's collusion with these betting sites.
For sure. Yeah. Again, you get a small hand into it.
Hmm.
You have buddies that, hey man, I've hit a rough spot. Can you slightly go under your prop and
Yeah.
help me out?
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be as simple as that, but then again, it's all collusion. Every little point makes a difference.
Hmm.
We've all had those days where, you have somebody going over 25 and a half points and they finish at 25. Happens all the time. And
Yeah.
it's like, man, did so and so just know I'm betting that? And, it just screws me over. And,
Yeah.
but we didn't really think of those things before, John. Like, I feel
No.
like I didn't give I again, I don't heavily bet whatsoever, but
Yeah.
it's stuff, that, from doing this podcast even that I'm paying close attention to, of course, with the
Hmm.
recent news as well. But like it before it didn't I didn't think two things about it, whether Steph Curry got three threes or
Hmm.
10 threes in a game. It just, it's cool to
Yeah.
watch, but
Yeah.
I'm like, his over under was never, really a factor in things
Hmm.
that, I looked into. But now, with the news, it's like, yeah, I'm going to pay closer attention to it
Yeah.
because it's just pretty eye-opening sometimes.
Yeah. I think I pay a lot, or for sometimes I do pay very close attention. What I've tried to do, like I said, this is me as a player prop person here in California. While it's still legal until they decide to do something, I'll put in my props in, and then I honestly won't look at them again until I either get an alert that I won money, or if I don't get an alert, I know I didn't win, and try not to dwell on it too much because it does take a toll on you. And like I said, I do it for fun. I do it to see, hey, maybe it's my lottery ticket to be able to pay off some nice big bills, you know. But it's sort of
Mhm.
like I try not to do that because yeah, there were times I would just be focused on the player props. Watching a game, okay, I need two more catches from you. And when you see them drop a catch, you're like, ah, it's rigged. You start making this narrative in your head of how this game is rigged and can it be possibly rigged? Who knows? Is it just bad luck? Yes, at the same time, because all these players and athletes are humans. Mistakes happen.
Of course, yeah. Everybody has an off night. So it's
Yeah.
like, I'm sure it can feel like, of course they have an off night the night that you bet on them.
Yeah.
Again, Derrick Henry we keep going, I keep going back to him. It's just like, it's just crazy though, because some games this season, he's just an absolute beast.
Mhm.
And then the next game, it's like, where'd he
Nope.
go?
Yeah, he disappears. Where's Waldo? Where's Derek?
Yeah, exactly. And genuinely, obviously the team hasn't played up to, what their standard is and what
Mhm.
everybody expected of them. You pair that with also his age,
Mhm.
the frequency of his great games is going to become infrequent.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. But of course, all through this,
Yeah.
entertainment, sports just seems like it's becoming an extension of the WWE at times.
It's sports entertainment and nothing. I think for both of us, nothing against the WWE. I think we're fans
Great
of it.
stuff.
We enjoy it, but
Oh yeah.
like these other sports, I was gonna ask you in sort of you could sort of say this is playing like devil's advocate a bit. Uh,
Mhm.
what sports league is easier to sort of not hit your props and not
Hmm.
or which one would probably be easy to do and not really be noticeable, and vice versa? Which one would you do, but notice that hey, you're just doing this because you're trying to miss your player props?
That's an excellent question. And I think easier would certainly be the NBA. And I think that's why there's a lot more issues with that
Hmm.
sport at the moment. Um, you look at, depending on what you're betting,
Hmm.
you could look at free throws made, of course, more people are going to bet you're under. It's easier to fail on something than to
Yeah.
try to succeed and hit the over on it. Um, depending on what statistic it is, I feel like it's a little bit easier with
Hmm.
the NBA would be one. I'm going to grab, I'm not going to be quite as crazy on the
On
rebounds
the
this week.
rebounds, yeah.
You know, can I play the perimeter a little bit more? It's like, dude,
Yeah.
why is so and so playing the perimeter? He can't shoot for shit. You know, and but yeah, I feel like the NBA, the NFL, I think would be a bit tougher, to be
Hmm.
honest. And that's why I think we point the fingers at refs a lot
Hmm.
because, it's easier for them to dictate a game
Yeah.
than it is the players themselves, especially, you know, I think out of any position, quarterback would be one that
Hmm.
would be easier to fail
To
at,
throw, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That would be one. And then yeah, tougher would be, things like baseball. I feel like, everybody in baseball seemingly wants to do really well because
Hmm.
if no matter who you are, if you go for, let's just say you're 0 for 32,
Yeah.
in a huge slump, you're trying absolutely anything to get out of that slump. And it's a lot tougher to try to go back to quote unquote normal,
Yeah.
with stuff like that. It's like, okay, today I
Hmm.
won't strike out 3 times. It's not always that easy. I mean, these guys
Yeah.
are throwing 100 plus miles an hour with crazy, movement
Yeah.
in their pitches. Like, good luck, dude. And then same
Hmm.
thing with pitching. We've seen it in pitching. I think that's a little bit easier for the sport of baseball. We saw it with, a couple of relievers, I think, this
Hmm.
past season. One being the very prominent Cleveland Guardians pitcher. I can't think of his name at the top of my head, but the closer suspended most of the league or most of the year
Hmm.
under investigation. So
Yeah.
baseball's probably the toughest, in my opinion. Sorry, that was really
Yeah.
long-winded,
No,
but that's just
yeah.
my opinion. What do you
Yeah,
think?
no, I was in agreement. I think it's like harder to throw to throw like a game or throw your stats in baseball because it already is so hard just to, do a lot of that stuff. Like I said, I think baseball is one of the harder sports because you're hitting a baseball at that, at that speed. I think pitching, that's when you could throw, but I also think it'd be very obvious, if a pitcher's
Mhm.
throwing a game, that, if it's a top pitcher versus the Rockies, that needs just three strikeouts, Paul Skeen getting three strikeouts against the Rockies, I think everybody's going to do above three strikeouts. It's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
obvious, so it's like if he doesn't get people are going to question it, like, why was your stuff off? That's not normal for you, and three should be easy against a team like that. So yeah, I think baseball is a tough one. Basketball, like I say, it's one that I think is pretty easy. Just not play with much effort. You see the hustle a lot less. Football, football, yeah, you hit it. Quarterbacks, I think that's the easier one. Running backs, it's hard. You'll notice when when they're not playing with their all, if there's an agenda. And I also think, like you said, the referees, they do a lot. I was trying to look up the odds of the Chiefs Super Bowl right now compared to like week 3 when they were 1-3 or one and
Hmm.
two. Can't find anything anywhere
Whoa.
online. Not even ChatGPT could find it for me. So it's sort of
Wow.
like, what might be hidden? Like what's hiding that they don't want, we can't find it, because it should be somewhere out there what the Chiefs odds were when they were losing, and it looked like they were not going to go to the Super Bowl to now heavy favorites, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, finding their groove. That's interesting.
yeah.
It's a weird fact right there. And I don't know if do they normally reset it, do you know, like
Mhm.
after the week is
So
officially concluded?
after every week, like your Super Bowl odds change depending on like injuries based off your,
Yeah.
record and stuff. So that's why I was trying to find like what were Chiefs odds for Super Bowl win week 3, because they were, I think, 1-2 compared to
Hmm.
now where they've made this run. Rashid Rice is back, the whole league is injured, like, and the red and white stripes are behind them now. So what has
Hmm.
changed? What are their odds? Are they better now? What did Vegas already bet when they were very low and everybody thought they weren't going to win, to compare now where if you bet, you have to bet $10 to make a dollar, you know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, it's a valid thing to look at, and I think it's something I'm definitely going to pay attention to because I feel like it makes, a big
Hmm.
a big difference in things. It's
Hmm.
pretty eye-opening. And again, it that goes back to the take last week of, they're back.
Hmm.
The red and white stripes are back, and injuries just keep on mounting around the league.
Yeah.
So, they're taking full advantage of it. I did just look up the penalties in Monday Night Football, and the
Uh-huh.
Chiefs were in fact more penalized than the Commanders were. But I feel like this game, everybody knew the outcome before it even
Hmm.
started with, no Jaden Daniels. So,
Yeah.
um, but we'll get into football
Yeah.
here shortly. But yeah, in general, I feel like
Hmm.
those are probably the easiest things. And then I did remember his name, Emmanuel Classe,
Okay.
Cleveland Guardians closer. And I want to say now that I don't know this for fact, obviously being investigated in general,
Hmm.
but I did see a video of somebody who was kind of pointing the finger at a particular reason, and I think it was first pitch strikes when he entered the game, and he was throwing some outrageous pitches. Like some of them barely made it halfway to home. Like it
uh,
was really bad. And it's like,
mhm.
how obvious are you going to be, dude? Like you're a
Yeah.
professional player, like you can throw a bit outside and make it
Yeah.
look legit. Like, come on.
Uh,
But again, it's going to be a lot easier to
mhm.
mess up than over succeed, something in particular. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, you hate to see it because it's like these I'm sure there's a bigger, broader picture to
Mhm.
it. There's going to be entanglement as in reasons as to why they're doing it. But it's like, man, like the amount of money they make to throw away over something that's probably much smaller in
Mhm.
comparison, money wise,
Yeah.
um, is just going to be the biggest head scratcher in history, in my opinion.
Yeah, it still mind boggles me that they do it. Like athletes do it. Like referees, I could understand what they're making compared to these players. Chump change. They're not making much. They're barely
Mhm.
probably getting by. So it's like, hey, I rigged this game. We've seen it before. They get a lot of money. They could pay off mortgages. They could send their kids to private schools, whatever it is. NBA players doing it, I think the only reason they would do it is to benefit someone they're really close to, like family. Like a
Mhm.
family member that is struggling is like, all right, this game, my under put 100K. You're gonna make
Mhm.
money. You'll be set for quite some time. And they'll do it. But like I say, if you get caught, then you're in trouble because you're going to lose money, you're going to lose credibility, you're going to lose trust with everybody. You aren't going to get a job in the NBA after. You're not going to get sponsors because nobody's going to want to sponsor you. So it's like, is the risk really worth it?
For sure. Yeah, I feel like the only places I've ever heard Tim Donaghy's name are like betting
Hmm.
podcasts that will have him on.
Oh yeah.
Which,
Well,
hey, he played a lot, obviously.
yeah. Yeah, hey, if he wants to come on and talk about it a little bit with minor betters and just sports people, sort of talk about his
Yeah,
time and just even just the NBA, like, hey, we'll bring him on.
yeah.
Because I know you sent me a report or in a video, and I think sort of like the end for me with this entertainment betting, where they're saying betting's really bad, it's not really benefiting people, it's bad to do it. NBA should be ashamed to partner with them. It's like I. I understand it. It's not giving much to the community. I think the video said like 0.003% went back to like people and the
Uh,
rest something
I
like
think it was
that.
veterans, right?
Or
Like
yeah,
something like
veterans.
that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but like a very small percentage, went back to veterans and it's like they should be doing veterans. Yeah, maybe they should be doing better, use the money for a little bit better things, but it's entertainment. Betting's entertainment as well. Sports entertainment. It
Hmm.
gives, it is a dangerous vice for a lot of people, but for some, it's just a nice little outlet and fun and brings you to a sport. So I think it's fine as long as you do it in moderation. And I understand the betting stuff, but I think it should be legal. I hope it becomes legal in California. It'd be a little bit more funner, but
Hmm.
I know at times, most likely, it might not happen anytime soon.
On that topic, I have a final question
Yeah.
here for you, John, on this topic with you know, just gambling in general, the
Hmm.
legalizations of it. I'm curious. We have yet to see the total repercussions of what happens with, for example, the NBA with this, and if there's any type of what's the right word, litigation with it,
Hmm.
any suing going on, on behalf of bettors and
Hmm.
gambling websites. Um, but I'm curious, do you think even like this circumstance would be severe enough where they do away with player props?
Um, I think they're gonna have to investigate a bit more to sort of see if it's just these two one-off chances, or if it's happening in a lot of other sports, a lot of other teams that they just haven't been able to pinpoint yet. Because, like I say, it's not a coincidence that these three players have been reported with this.
Mm-hmm.
Billups. Um, there's a lot of thoughts that other players are doing it. It's happening elsewhere, but I think it's gonna have to take a bit more investigating, looking into other sports because, like I say, player props aren't just NBA. It's NFL, soccer, MLB, hockey. So it's sort of looking at all sports, and it's like it's that risk. It's the risk benefit, or not a risk benefit, but just to sort of see like who does it benefit and is it worth it, because if it's really taking money out of people's pockets because they're rigging the entire system of all sports, then yeah, they'll get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to take some time.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know if this is the tipping point. I think we're more at the bottom of the mountain, to be honest
Hmm.
with you. There
Yeah.
could be a lot more to unravel. I
Yeah.
quite frankly, you know, Chauncey Billups, obviously big name, in the NBA world, had a bigger name
Hmm.
back in the day. Terry Rozier had his moment for about
Yeah.
half a season, I feel like. Wasn't it
Hmm.
with Boston?
Boston, yeah.
Yep. And, kind of, slipped under the cracks. I feel like it might take a really, 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 really big
Hmm.
name that would
Yeah.
just destroy a league.
It would have to take a big name, a big organization for it to destroy the league. I know I kept on seeing LeBron name his name, LeBron's name come up, but I know it wasn't him sort of part of it. It's just he was one of those players that sort of they got the inside scoop about him, his
Damon
health.
Jones.
Damon Jones, Terry Rozier, anybody that plays in NBA would get all the info on that beforehand.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think yeah, we're barely scratching the surface. We're starting to climb the mountain of sort of investigating this. And it'll take a few years for this to get more information and see if they're gonna ban player props. But I think for the time being, it's fun. People are doing it. They're making money from it. So all these sports gambling sites, Vegas, they're gonna continue trying to push for it because, like I say, if it's making them millions of dollars or billions of dollars and only losing a few million, that's a win for them. So I don't think they're gonna let it stop.
For sure. Yeah. In talk about somebody that's having fun with this is Gilbert Arenas, walking onto the set of his podcast with a
Really?
bag that says informant.
That's a nice lunch. I'm curious where he got that lunch from. You
Right.
know.
And then, it's just again, we'll probably never the info will probably never see the light of day,
Mhm.
obviously, but him getting out of jail in a day, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh. Who was he talking? I saw a video today. I think I might have saved it. I'll send it to you after. But it was a
Okay.
Key and Peele sketch
Oh.
where they were like I think it was Omar Epps was in this episode and they were like outside like, oh yeah, our homie's never gonna snitch, and he comes out like, ooh, look at this pizza, like, oh, they ordered me pizza. Then when he gets close to them, he's like, effing pigs, like trying
Right,
to act
right.
all hard, but they're like, yeah, he'll never snitch, he's a homie. And nah, he snitched all the way.
Yep.
That's Gilbert Arenas. I think the thing said like Gilbert Arenas and then Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billup
That's
outside.
hilarious.
It's
Yep.
it's crazy. Like I
Yeah,
say, yeah.
fitting.
Well, we'll never know what Gilbert Arenas might have said, what happened. Like I say, must have been a nice, delicious lunch right there that he got in that
Yeah.
bag. But
Uh, he's
guy,
playing it.
he's playing it. Guy cracks me up though. He's a funny guy.
He's funny. He's very funny. One time I was at Zuma Beach, and me and Jen, I think it was we didn't have any kiddos yet. It was just me and Jen at the beach, chilling. Gilbert Arena set up right next to us, within
Oh,
five
nice.
feet of us. I was too chicken shit to say anything to him because I was a huge fan of his because he started his career on the Warriors, and
Mhm.
I loved him there, and he got big right after, of course. Um, got big with us, but then of course we traded him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's Gilbert, man. He's big in the news these days. He's a
Yeah,
funny
he's
guy.
big in the news. One guy that's part of a sports betting website, he's an underdog
Mm,
guy. So, we'll see
yep,
where this goes. We'll see where this goes.
absolutely.
But those are our takes this week. Like him, love him, your thoughts on him. Leave those comments in our videos full length and even just our clips that we post about everything we talked during our banter takes. But we'll go on to week 7 of the NFL. Pretty eventful week. I think the way we've started every week 7 or week recap in the NFL, we talk about our teams. Ravens got that W against the Bears. Tough beginning quarter. First quarter looked really tough for us. I felt like we
Hmm.
were gonna just suck, but they came back. Huntley did what he needed to do. That run game, I'm happy to see the run game was there. Henry did what I always talk about, feed it to Henry. That's a game
Hmm.
script. Um, One guy I was happy to see, Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah.
I'm a big Keaton
Oh
Mitchell fan.
yeah.
I've talked about him, but his 4 carries, averaging ten yards, big runs. This guy, like I say, rumor has it he could be a good trade target for some teams that need running back help. I hope we don't let him go. Nothing against Justice Hill. Justice Hill, when we needed him, was very serviceable, did amazing. But I'm a big Keaton Mitchell fan because this guy he has the jets to just change that pace of back compared to Derrick Henry. But overall, we played well. Happy, 2-5. We pretty much need to win out the league. Oh, not win out, not have too many losses to be able to make the playoffs. Steelers lost again, Bengals lost, Browns lost, so every team lost
Mhm.
except us. So, we're making that push to be able to take that division back. So, like what I see, we'll see. We'll see if Lamar Jackson's back next week. We got the Dolphins. Thursday night game. Hate Thursday night games. But I think should be a win. I think we could take it, but yeah. That's my take with the Ravens.
Yeah, I saw on I think it was ESPN's homepage. Lamar is expected to play
Hmm.
against the Dolphins, but he
Yeah.
was also expected to play against the Bears as well. So,
Hmm.
we'll see what happens. Dolphins might be a good game, just kind of, inch him back
Yeah.
into playing. Kind of
Hmm.
take it easy, lean a lot on Derek and Keaton
Hmm.
Mitchell, hopefully. That's
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, a couple things from this game. Ravens defense, a lot better
Yeah.
looking.
Looking good,
The
better.
Bears is a good team, man. Honestly, the Bears have played
Hmm.
very, very well this year. The running game's good. I think what
Hmm.
Ben Johnson has done with that team is, what I think has been expected and what Chicago,
Hmm.
has the talent to do. Rome Odunze's a beast. That
Yeah.
dude is so good. Um, but yeah, you guys slowed down the run game a bunch. They
Hmm.
didn't run it quite as much. They had to pass a lot. Kyle Monangai, he's kind of been our dude that we've been hanging
Hmm.
on to for dear life with our fantasy team. Couldn't
Yep.
get a whole lot going, but only 7 carries
Yeah.
altogether. DeAndre Swift touchdown kind of saved his day.
Hmm.
Um, Caleb Williams, I feel like we get weekly. Is Caleb Williams a long-term solution for the Bears question
Yeah.
every single week? Typically. So yeah, not a great overall week for him.
Hmm.
No touchdown passes, threw a pick.
Yeah.
Looked a little lost at times. Tyler Huntley stood in there great, much
Yeah.
better, backup than Cooper
Cooper
Rush
Rush.
at
Yeah.
this point in time. Yeah, fed the rock to Derrick Henry.
Hmm.
Zay Flowers got, a lot of catches, got involved. Um, I don't think you guys should be sellers yet. I
No.
think you guys
Yeah. Yeah.
in there. The division is winnable.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
good solid dub for you guys.
Yeah, no, good dub. I don't think we'll, like I say, trade deadline I think is November 5th, so we pretty much got one more week.
Yep.
So, like I say, we win against Miami. I think we're sort of out of that sellers. Um, but yeah, hey, we'll
Mhm.
see how it goes.
Yeah, that might be what it takes is that
Hmm.
Miami game. At least you guys play Thursday to get an early answer. Um, yeah, and then I don't know. Moving on to my Niners, I guess
Yeah.
we can do that. Texans suck, and we still lost to them. Um, yeah, just I don't know. The offense was boring. I
Yeah.
don't know what else to say. We just didn't look very good. Defense looks different without, having our studs there.
Hmm.
It's been troubling to watch. Um, on the offensive end, you have a game where Christian McCaffrey gets 8 carries. No other running back took a carry, which is
Yeah.
crazy. It seems like there was like just a ton of, I don't know, three and outs, drives that couldn't get going.
Hmm.
Um, I can't really say that George Kittle finally, he had a good game coming back off of injury last week. We're just kind of getting him to run some routes more than anything,
Hmm.
it seemed like. And this week, 4 catches, over 40 yards, touchdown. That's really about it, man.
Yeah.
Besides that, we didn't do anything. Texans had their day. CJ Stroud looked very good. Um, Woody Marks, I think, has taken over that backfield
Hmm.
over Nick Chubb. He looks a lot better. He had a big, run in there. Um, yeah, Jalen Knoll stepping up. He was a name I
Yeah.
was kind of looking at this past week with fantasy. Couldn't nab him in our larger league. Didn't
Hmm.
end up adding him in another league I'm involved in, but definitely had my eyes because I think he's a guy that could kind of take on that Tank Dell role
Yeah.
and start being a big performer there. So I think he's a name to look out for. I think he's a guy worth adding because Nico Collins concussion. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know how much longer he's out. Um, but even, let's say he comes back, I think him and Xavier Hutchinson can really establish
Hmm.
themselves,
They can.
getting involved in that offense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, I don't know, Niners, we'll see. I'm curious though of what we do at the trade deadline. We're 5-3. We're still hanging on in the division. It's a very good division.
Hmm.
Um, but are we at a point where we want to really do anything? Do we want to go big? I think just the injuries that we've had um, says points to no. Let's
Yeah.
either stay put or get rid of some guys that we
Hmm.
feel like are on expiring deals or underperforming and get some draft picks. Quite frankly, I
Yeah.
lean that direction. But I'm curious to see what we do overall, even with the winning record. But I don't think we have it. I don't
Yeah.
think we.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting because, you guys could be buyers for that defense, try to shore it up for the playoffs.
Hmm.
But yeah, with all the injuries, all the unhappy reports of players, it's like you want to put so much into a team that may not perform in the long run this year and sort of see what you could do, and see if you guys could still make a run. Quarterback has to come back. Possible IU sighting maybe in the future. Who knows? But Juwan
Eventually.
Jennings, so it sort of we'll see what you guys do. But yeah, disappointment. We talked smack a little bit about the Texans last week, and they showed up. So I think they're listening to our podcast,
Mhm.
not wanting to
Yeah.
be the talk of the show, but
All right. So John is going to step away. I'm going to take us through game by game here now that we talked about both of our teams and the matchups that they're involved with. Next up, we are going to have this was Thursday Night Football with the Los Angeles Chargers and the Minnesota Vikings. And that game was completely lopsided, as we all saw. Chargers looked very good. They established their run game. Vidal looked very, very good. Omarion Hampton, I think, is going to have an extended absence that might go past their bye week, as it seems right now, especially if they're going to be a playoff team. It would be good to have him back for that time. Um, but it took a little bit of all the work off of Justin Herbert. This game was something that they could kind of ice out with the run game. Lad McConkey kind of got back to it. I know a lot of fantasy managers out there were upset with a non-existent Quentin Johnston. Didn't even get a target. Ran a bunch of routes, but was just there. I think if you could have a donut game in the NBA playing, a ton of minutes, this is equivalent to that, of course. So, that Oronde Gadsden, I think is certainly worth mentioning. Him as a tight end has really established himself, honestly, what it seems to be top five tight end at this point, over the last 2 weeks. I think he's certainly in the conversation. Hopefully you were lucky enough to add him this past week because there's no signs of letting off the gas there. I think the second half he slowed down quite a bit for this particular game. Still had over 70 yards and a touchdown in it. But I just think game script took away from a lot of that, as it did with Lad McConkey. He slowed down, later in the game as well. Vikings, big news that we got there was Carson Wentz shoulder surgery. He's going to be out the rest of the season. I think that explains a lot of his big emotions that he had there on the sideline. You got a feel for the guy. He's definitely dealt with his fair share of brutal injuries throughout his career. I don't think we ever saw the maximum Carson Wentz that we all, I guess we're anticipating back when he was with the Eagles and then went down with that ACL injury and just really never got back to where he was before that. So um, don't know what direction Minnesota is going to go after this week, though. I don't know if it's going to be a Max Brosmer start. next week. I'm curious to see who they might sign to kind of back up. Are we going to see JJ McCarthy come back? It seems like they're really hesitant to bring him back. Other news within that team, Aaron Jones came back off of injury from the IR. Was good to see him back. Didn't get a whole lot of work just because of the game script, and they decided to pass a lot more. Couple catches, 5 carries overall. I think 30 yards off of 7 touches in total. Um, yeah. So moving on to that from that game, Chargers look good in a very competitive division this year. So, yeah. Next game that I have here. Sunday morning game. This was the New York Jets versus Cincinnati Bengals. Was kind of a surpriser this past week. Was a phenomenal game to watch. If you have Red Zone, if your local network to be able to watch it, was honestly a really exciting game. I don't think anybody really expected too much out of either of these teams at this point in time. But final score: New York Jets 39, Bengals 38. Bengals were in control of this game pretty much throughout. But New York just kind of held in there, um, made something happen at the end of the game. Brees Hall looked incredibly good, 18 carries, 133 yards, threw for a touchdown, rushed for a couple. Really, truly did it all. I think that Brees Hall, this was a big question mark game for him. It's like, is he going to live up to the hype that surrounds him? Is he going to really be able to establish himself there? Is he going to be good trade bait now? That's another question mark. Let's see what the Jets do. Even with this win, they're the first win of the season. They're 1-7 at the moment. A quick thought here with Justin Fields, though. I am really happy to see that, he had a good game. He was able to pull out a victory. There's been a lot of I guess tough criticism with him over this past week from the owner of the team, reporters, you name it, really criticizing Justin Fields, and quite frankly, at times rightfully so. He's hasn't looked NFL caliber at quarterback. Was drafted high, paid, a decent, chunk of change this past offseason with the New York Jets. Hasn't lived up to that expectation. But this past week, he got pretty vulnerable in a press conference he had and discussed the fact that he laid in his closet and, got really vulnerable and cried and got some touching text messages from family members, stepmom, he mentioned, I think his brother's friend. So it was good to see that side of things, quite frankly. And, I think that's what it takes sometimes is people to kind of reflect. I said he did a lot of praying. You're joining in here, John. I am going elaborately into this New York Jets Bengals game
Okay.
and talking about Justin Fields and his vulnerability that he got in the press conference. I thought it was really touching.
Mm-hmm.
I give him a big shout out right now because he's gotten a lot of criticism, and I did mention that I feel like at times it's very justified.
Yeah.
I know that he hasn't thrown in a pick at all in this season, but I think that just comes with not taking any risks,
Yeah.
and can be easy to do at times. But that side of Justin Fields, he said he did a lot of praying. He said he did a lot of reflecting. He had deep conversations with, I guess, his best friend, his stepmom. And I think seeing that side to an athlete can hit home. You can tell that he's been through it. So, really happy that he got this win. I did mention Brees Hall. I don't know if he's going to be good trade bait now on the open
Mm-hmm.
market after this really strong performance, or if it's just somebody that they hold on to and kind of build off of. Didn't really get into the Bengals yet, but worth mentioning, Joe Flacco still kind of got it
Yeah.
here and there.
Joe Flacco's still the guy. Like he
Yep.
gets it. I think Jamar Chase, bunch of stat padding for him with Joe
Oh
Flacco
yeah.
there. Um, but yeah, so keeping the Bengals probably in a possible hunt. Um, can they win it? I don't know if Joe Flacco's the guy. I think that defense needs some help. Hendrickson was out. I think he or did he play? I
I
feel
think
like
he might have still been out.
he might have been out. Yeah, so like it's that defense needs some support. Giving up that many to the Jets and especially in the fourth, it's concerning, as a team. But yeah, Justin Fields showed up, threw the ball. Confidence is there. Hopefully it's there. I think he just needs to continue rolling like that because he is a good player. Yeah, saw his press conference, got vulnerable. I think it's really awesome to see that side of a player. And hoping the best from him because I am a fan.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I know Jamar Chase is loving life right now.
Yeah.
That dude's 19 targets. I think last game, I think he had what, 16 catches, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
The dude is living right now.
Yeah.
Samaje Perine sighting. I barely found out last week that he was on the Bengals again.
Hmm.
But yeah, played better than Chase Brown, arguably. Chase Brown had a
Yeah.
great game, though. I won't take that away.
Yeah.
A receiving and a rushing touchdown,
Hmm.
12 carries, 73 yards,
Yeah.
three catches, 32 yards. But yeah, really fun game with a bunch of, losing teams there.
Hmm.
I did go over the Chargers and how they are remaining
Hmm.
competitive. They got the ground game going
Yeah,
well.
they did.
I mentioned Carson Wentz, season-ending injury. Don't know what direction they're going to go. We'll see JJ again. Mentioned fantasy-wise, Oronde Gatson.
Hmm.
If you're lucky enough to get him, I think
Yeah.
he's, built himself into a top five tight end at this point. As long as I mean, that's 2 weeks consistently. So, um, elsewhere around the league, Dolphins made it happen. We mentioned
They
Bijan
did.
Robinson. Bijan, I just could never get anything going. I don't know if it's a change of quarterback issue,
Hmm.
going back to Kirk Cousins, but I don't know. Or Arthur Smith returned and decided to unuse Bijan Robinson. But quite frankly, in the big scheme of things, I think the Falcons suffer from bad coaching.
Hmm.
Point blank.
Yeah, it's bad coaching, just how they run the game. 9 carries total for Bijan. That dude, it's almost like that Derrick Henry talk. He should be averaging upwards of 20 touches per game just in the run game.
Yes.
To make it beneficial to sort of open up that passing game, especially for Kirk Cousins. Because this is a team that has the players. I don't see any stats for London. Was London out? Drake London?
He was out. He was
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
So
Uh,
that could have been a factor because, like I say, London's I think their main guy next to Kyle Pitts did well, 9 receptions.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think it's coaching. I think it's just game plan. And that's the thing with like some of these teams, they go down 1 touchdown, they throw out their run game and go into the passing game when it's like you're just a touchdown, 2 touchdowns down in the first half. Like you have so much football left. Like continue with your game because if Bijan gets one nice run and he could take it to the house. So I think it's coaching, play scheme, and what they do once they go down.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. I the reason why I knew Drake London didn't play is because I got mooned by the ass cheek game Darnell Mooney put on. I thought he was going to be WR1 this week. Um, One catch,
No.
four targets.
Oh man.
That was freaking brutal. And
Yeah.
it was in between him, Jalen Noel, who put on a better game, and then I also thought Franklin was available with
Hmm.
the Denver Broncos. He had a huge game.
Yeah.
Don't know if you want to go into that game because the Cowboys really showed themselves this past week.
Cowboys showed themselves this week. We gave them praise last week, and they just don't
Ah,
perform. And they did it against the Broncos defense that didn't have their best player, Patrick Surtain. I think he was out for the game.
pec injury. Yeah, and it was
Yeah,
early.
and couldn't get it done. So it's a little surprising. I think I heard somewhere Jerry Jones was a little mad about it, but yeah, this is a game. Dak Prescott back to the old Dak. Like I said, Javonte Williams didn't really get too much done with his few carries. Jadon Blue, I think, did a little bit better on his few runs. Williams just got the end zone, the red zone
Yeah,
touchdowns. So fantasy
vulture.
wise, he did okay. CD Lamb, George Pickens, could have had better games, but um, yeah. And then the Broncos, like I say, Bo Nix, this team could be very dangerous. RJ Harvey started off strong and J.K. Dobbins finished it,
Hmm.
And then yeah, Troy Franklin stepping up, Cortland Sutton, always a dangerous player. Um, yeah, this Denver Bronco team will give the Chiefs a run for their money.
Absolutely. Yeah, on both ends of the ball. They've got it going. Obviously, they don't let a score get them down either. We saw what they
Hmm.
did against the Giants last week. It's a very, very good 6-2 team.
Yeah.
The Denver Broncos. So, yeah, and then honestly, Javonte Williams kind of eating his own words. I don't know if you
Hmm.
saw, he said like, "Oh, I'm gonna prove it this week" or something like that, and just drastically underperformed against his former team, the Denver
Yeah.
Broncos. So yeah, that's something there. Elsewhere around the league, um, I'm gonna keep referencing my other fantasy football team because it perfectly goes in line, John, with the team we share.
Yeah.
And injuries are the story of the freaking world. I
Hmm.
had Quinshon Judkins
Hmm.
went down shoulder injury, and I don't know if a lot of that was game script. That's what I'm hoping for. I haven't
Yeah.
seen any updates yet. They were down big in that game. And then the
Hmm.
other one was Cam Scatabo. Awful injury. Evidently, it was a dislocation, not a break, but he did require surgery.
Yeah.
Obviously, going to be done for the year. Hopefully, it doesn't impede much next year, because he is a real pleasure to watch. Like
Hmm.
that dude is the essence of hard-nosed football,
Yeah.
puts his head down, goes crazy. You could tell the devastation on his teammates,
Hmm.
how much he means to them. So, yeah, Eagles, another quick thing I want to mention with this Eagles game,
Hmm.
and I sent you a clip of it, and I remember commenting in our group chat live with it, was that Jalen Hurts fumble was a freaking fumble.
Oh yeah, that was a
And
fumble.
that was arguably the worst refereed game of all season so far. But saying that there's forward motion, you hadn't even blown the whistle yet.
Yeah.
By the time Thibodeau ripped it out, his leg wasn't down. He wasn't down at all. So just I don't get it, especially after a couple days after we talk about rigging things.
Hmm.
Now, was the difference maker? Let's be honest. Probably not. Like
Yeah.
Giants lost by a lot. But I don't know. Just certain things throughout the game, I feel like it can trend in either direction. It can really
Hmm.
deflate a team, whether when you get a strip sack or a strip, fumble against a play that is really tough to defend with the tush push.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my thoughts on that game.
Yeah. No, bad refereeing game. I think this is the one play that could sort of maybe bring an elimination of the tush push or a change in the rules overall with the tush push.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the game. I think the injury to Scatabo is the thing that sort of took the Giants' air out of them in the game. Um, but but yeah, the one thing with the Eagle game, saw Saquon has possible injury. Saquon's playing it down a bit. That it isn't. I think it's a groin or something. Um,
Yeah.
'Cause I think he was out in the third, didn't come back at all in the fourth. They were winning, so he didn't need to.
Yeah.
But like I say, Madden curse, is it real? We've talked about it. Saquon hasn't really had his type of season. Is there something lingering that they're just not really saying, and the way they're just playing it is giving him less touches? So, yeah, I'm curious to see more of that, but Eagles, like I said, the with the Scatabo injury, sort of just took a lot out of the game. I think if Scatabo would have stayed healthy, it would have been a lot closer game and a lot more interesting of a game.
For sure. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Saquon finally broke off a big run. I think this was his first game over 100 yards this season as well. Tink Bigsby looked very good as well. There must have just been massively gaping holes in
Hmm.
that Giants defense. Certainly part of it. Uh, Besides that, you know, uh, we'll see. I think it's worth paying attention to what
Yeah.
that injury is because they got the run going. Um,
All right, I'm gonna have to go again, Tim. I'll be back.
that's fine. That's fine. I'll
Yeah.
keep going. Keep
Yeah.
rattling them off here. I'll keep you updated once you come back. Yeah, so that's a big factor there. Jalen Hurts. he did what he had to, 4 touchdown passes. He was efficient, accurate, 15 of 20 in passing altogether. Um, let's see. Elsewhere around the league, my take is standing strong. Let's put it that way. My take is standing very strong. Had uh, New England Patriots. I have them winning the division, making the playoffs, obviously, and doing so. I'll be thrilled even if they just make the playoffs because that's, a huge, I feel like success and close enough to the take I have. But won 32-13 over the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland, obviously not a phenomenal team. Uh, Kept it close in the beginning. The biggest thing to shout out with the Browns this past week is Myles Garrett, 5 sack game, absolutely incredible. He's worth every cent of what he earns. But, a big thing that John unfortunately had to step away. That I was going to ask John with this game is, in direct regards to Myles Garrett, his 5 sack performance. I think he's tops in the league in sacks on the year, especially after that game. Um, and it kind of a big part of it was looking at his demeanor on the sidelines. He, threw his helmet in frustration, was very upset. This past offseason, discussed wanting to leave the team and demand, a trade to go elsewhere to remain competitive. Obviously, money talks. You get offered, I think, upwards in over of $40 million a year, highest paid defensive player of all time. And that'll make you stay. So I don't know if I necessarily feel bad for him. I know he's kind of locked into a spot, and it's tough to kind of demand a trade and get one in the NFL. I think he deserves better for sure, but he opted to stay for in signing the contract, getting a lot more money. So glad he was able to work out that deal. Again, he's worth every cent of that deal because he's absolutely incredible and an utter beast. Other side of the ball, New England Patriots 6-2 looked really really good. Drake May. I think he's in the MVP talks and deservedly so. He's looked really, really good. Um, 282 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Did it on the ground a bit too, 7 carries, 50 yards. Trevion Henderson finally getting usage. 10 carries, 75 yards. Big question mark. I think it was just last week. I think only played 9 snaps. I think the third string running back took more snaps than he did, especially more carries. But I think that this kind of puts things to rest that, he's going to be involved. I don't know, from a fantasy football sense of things, if he's, necessarily worth holding on to, but I think that they're trying to build stuff there. Um, with Travion, outside of that, Patriots look very good. Won in convincing fashion. What else? Bucks Saints, for John's take. They did business, did what they had to do. Wasn't a very, crazy game. The Bucks have certainly dealt with their fair share of injuries. Mike Evans going out for the year. Most recently, Bucky Irving. Don't know the time frame. He's been out for quite some time. Dealt with a couple different injuries. I guess we'll find out when he comes back. Um, Elsewhere, Packers, Steelers, Packers beating their former quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, 35-25. Yeah, that game is what it is. Not a whole lot more to discuss with it. I think the Packers, good team. I don't think that they are Super Bowl contenders this season. Steelers, honestly, they'll end up 1 or 2 games over 500, maybe inch their way into the playoffs and not make it past the first round. That's quite frankly what I think will happen. Um, Colts look phenomenal. 7-1 this year. Daniel Jones, seen a ton of memes on him this past week. He was disguised as a bad quarterback with all of his stops before this, a whopping 2, which was the Giants and Vikings, and really just needed a good coach and setting. And here he is, just absolutely dominating. So happy to see it. Jonathan Taylor, MVP case for sure. Phenomenal, 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 phenomenal. I think he broke off an 80-yard touchdown run this game. Looked really, really good. Scored three touchdowns in total. Um, Certainly leads the league in touchdowns, I believe. And pulling up his stats on the week right now, 12 carries, 153 yards, two touchdowns rushing, two catches, 21 yards, and another touchdown receiving. On the year, Jonathan Taylor, he did break out that 80-yard touchdown run. 12 touchdowns altogether. He's first in yards rushing as well with 850. The dude is the total package. The just absolutely dominant. Looks phenomenal. This is his third three touchdown game on the year. Just speaks for itself. Dude, MVP candidacy for sure. Um, but yeah, Colts in general look really good. Titans, not so much. Lots to do there. Um, they need to figure, I don't know, something out altogether, but it seems very underwhelming. Nobody's really surprised by that though. And then I finishing off altogether, we have Commanders Chiefs, that Monday Night Football that happened today. Commanders without Jaden Daniels. We talked a bit about that. Marcus Mariota couldn't really bring it home. 28-7 final score. Chiefs, look good, got the job done. Travis Kelce, I think arguably his best game on the year. About 100 yards, touchdown. Chiefs kind of handled business. Got a win that they should have. And yeah, that's about it. Gonna see. I think our next topic that we had on the board was the NBA. And the NBA so far, NBA gotten off to a yeah, pretty rapid start here. VJ Edgecombe, most notably early draft pick rookie for the Philadelphia 76ers, has looked absolutely incredible. Really, really good. Had I think, a history-making debut. His first three games altogether has been phenomenal. It's a team that is just loaded with talent, but they just, quite frankly, they've been loaded in talent, or what we thought was talent, for years and years, and just hasn't been able to make things happen. I don't know if this is the start of a new trend with Philly, but fun team to watch. Altogether. I know that I was kind of closely tracking the NBA game with the 76ers tonight against Orlando, because it was an interesting one. They pulled away at the end. 136, 124 over Orlando. They are still undefeated, 3-0. I don't know how many people were expecting this strong of a start for the 76ers, but we're certainly getting it, especially without Joel Embiid still. But yeah, on the day, Tyrese Maxey has been right alongside Edgecombe. He had 43 points today, eight assists. And then Edgecombe, 26 points, seven assists, four boards. Um, Absolutely incredible start. Like I said, the team is really well balanced. Edgecombe on the season, 24 and a half points, six and a half boards, five and a half assists. Just one of the strongest starts you could ask for. Incredible. And I think he kind of got late news of being a strong draft pick this past season. I think he really shot up boards late in the I guess preview of the draft. So pretty cool to see. He's certainly getting a lot of attention there. Orlando, I'm sure, lots of season left. They'll pull it together a little bit more, because that's a team with just loaded with talent as well. So um elsewhere, Wembayama, I think his time this offseason with the Monks has proved to be a success so far, because he has looked like an absolute beast so far this year. I think his opening debut game, I think he had over 50 points, if I'm not mistaken. San Antonio's 4-0 at the moment. Won again tonight, 121, 103 against Toronto. Um, Incredibly strong start. He's a rebounding machine. 24 points, 15 boards, 7 of 8 shooting, 4 assists to go along with it on the year, 33.3 points per game, 13 and a third rebounds, and 2 assists to go along with a field goal percentage of 56, almost 57%. Um, Absolute beast. I think that he is performing up to the expectations of what everybody thought of him. Sorry, it wasn't a 50 point performance his opening week. It was a 40 pointer, but still had 15 boards. And on the year, 15 boards, 11 boards game two, game three of the year, 14, back to 15 again tonight. So, um, incredible. Incredible. He's doing it blocks as well. No surprise here. Dude, 7'4" with a freakish wingspan. 9 blocks against New Orleans, 6 blocks against Brooklyn. 15 in the 2 games span there. That's crazy. I would not be surprised if we see a game where Wembayama gets a quadruple double. Let's put it that way. Um, Moving on elsewhere in the NBA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander still getting all of the foul calls. He is just a foul merchant in the essence of that, nickname altogether. I think he had a game earlier this season. It's either the second or third game where I think he had 26 free throw attempts in a game. Just crazy. I haven't watched their games closely enough to really make a deciding factor on how much of these free throws are legitimate, and should be called. But quite frankly, if he's going to get them, he should keep trying for him, until the NBA changes their tune on that. But today, 23 points, and maybe this is a big reason as to why he didn't score as much, is because he only had 2 free throw attempts today. He was 2 of 2. They still won against a very good Dallas team. Um, but yeah, only two free throw attempts compared to 23 the other 26 the other day, whatever it was. So, that's a drastic change. Kind of keeping it with the same game. Cooper Flag, not the best of games today. 1 of 9 shooting, only 2 points, had a minus 20 plus minus in the game. Wasn't really a difference maker. Did help them quite a bit in their win last game, though. Um, I guess they're saying after tonight's game, Cooper Flag had a little bit of shoulder soreness. Maybe that was a contributing factor into why he didn't perform quite as well. Um, but yeah, I think Dallas has promise. I think Cooper Flag will be a good player. Think he'll, I don't know if we'll ever see an MVP caliber season out of Cooper Flag, but I think that he will be an all-star talent in the league. But, much is to be seen. He's 4 games into his career. I won't make too much of a judgment, so soon. But yeah, their win against Toronto was yesterday. 22 points for Cooper Flag, 8 of 14 shooting, 4 boards, 4 assists. Today was his only game that he has not been in double figure scoring. So, strong start, no doubt. He's only 18 years old. Lots of time for him to, really make a name for himself, in the NBA and kind of continue on with the success. So, yeah, that's kind of this short stop there with the NBA. Certainly want to jump into MLB postseason. And when we started this podcast, I believe it was in the 13th inning. They are still playing baseball. It is now 11:30 Pacific Standard Time at the moment. We are in the bottom of the 17th at the moment, with this game three of the World Series. I don't know what the record length of a World Series game is and how many innings it went. But this is something that I'm sure would rival some of those games. It is currently 5-5. Series is tied 1-1. We did discuss how the Jonas Brothers came in and interrupted the parade of stuff going on, with a weird fifth inning performance. Cool, Jonas Brothers, awesome. We're touring recently, have gotten a lot of attention with their tour. But I think the timing's a little odd. I feel like that's something that, I don't know, the seventh inning even makes a little bit more sense, like I mentioned earlier, or something before the game. Kind of much like they did last year with Ice Cube. It made a lot of sense, and a fifth inning kind of can ruin the momentum for a pitcher. It doesn't matter who it is. Each team had, I guess, an equal share of this break in the game. I don't think it was very lengthy even, but something that I don't think the timing was right. Something that they should probably adjust moving forward, in my opinion. I am quickly gonna look up the longest World Series game ever, and it is currently searching. This might be the record. Yep. Well, no. Game 3, 2018 World Series. It's 18 innings, 7 hour, 20-minute marathon. I don't think we're quite there. This game started, I believe, at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So it is now 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. So 6.5 hours. I mean, we're getting pretty close. And that was also a game three, and it did involve the Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox. Dodgers won 3-2 at the end of that game by a walk-off home run by Max Muncy in the bottom of the 18th. We're getting close. We are getting close. How ironic if Muncy can walk this off as we head into the 18th inning now. We'll see if this even finishes before we finish this podcast this evening. So you're hearing a lot of me right now at the moment because John had to step away to take care of his kiddo. So I'm kind of manning the rest of the podcast here. So bear with me. I'm going to seem like a bit of a sportscaster, but going over all the interesting stuff in the sports world at the moment. One thing I would do want to note in this game, though, Shohei Ohtani, he's had 4 hits in 4 at-bats, 2 home runs, 3 ribbies, but 5 walks. I don't know what Barry Bonds' record was in the World Series that he participated in against the Angels. Certainly was intentionally walked quite a bit in his career, most ever. But 5 walks is an extraordinary number. And I'm not surprised it's Shohei Ohtani dealing with that amount because of how well he's been hitting lately. Um, Lately, as in his whole career, but especially lately with, between the end of last series against Milwaukee up till now. Before that, he was just kind of average, performance wise. But no, he's been absolutely phenomenal. So, yeah, we'll see. Top of the 18th inning, 5-5, Dodgers, Toronto. That is certainly one that we'll pay attention to. Um, and yeah, that was kind of the final little bit there on MLB. Next up, we kind of wanted to talk about TV and movies. One that the It series that's coming out. I think it's on HBO Max, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Viewers beware. This would have been a great point for John to elaborate on what he meant with viewers beware. I don't know if this is something that viewers beware, like, what are you going to get out of this series? Is it going to not live up to the hype of the movies themselves or the book? Or is this something that is just like it's going to be very gruesome? And it's something that is just going to surpass what you expect for the movie, or TV series, It. Um, but yeah, It saw the movies. I didn't see the most recent It movie, but certainly the first one I feel like was really good, and I feel like they casted really well for that movie. Um, and overall, I thought that it was something that was good, and it is going to be on HBO. Max just confirmed here the release date was yesterday. And it's the It series Welcome to Derry. And it is set in the 1960s, of course, explores the origins of Pennywise and the history of the evil in Derry. So, yeah, overall, I haven't seen too much other than advertisements. Um, Again, good little plug to see what, John's opinion. He's obviously our movie and show savant on this podcast. But perfect time to release it. I will say that. Halloween is this week. It's upcoming this Friday. Everybody's kind of gearing up with that, watching their scary movies at the moment. I think that the release of it is perfect. Quite frankly, Stranger Things should have been released this month, and they're waiting until November. So, yeah, that would have been nice to have Stranger Things to kind of coincide with these with a show like It. I'll probably watch this though. Tis the season, something to get into. Um, Seems to be, again, I think with the release of this, I don't know how much competition they're really getting at the moment. I think that this release and the timing, the horror movie that we just talked about was The Conjuring, and it was a great film. Saw it earlier this month. Um, but as we head into literally Halloween week, this might be something that people really view. So curious to see. HBO obviously can go pretty. They can go really gruesome, quite frankly. I don't, HBO really releases a lot of stuff. So, it can certainly bring that factor. We'll see how far that they go with it. It looks like so far on IMDb, 8.1 stars out of 10. So decent for an opening day. We'll see how that rating adjusts over time. But yeah, also on this topic too. John gave me a bit of homework this past weekend because the movie Weapons that he saw in theaters did release on HBO. And I had the time to watch it briefly this evening, kind of skimmed over a few parts, but watched certainly more than three-quarters of the film altogether. And I will say, this movie was chaotic. I think that's probably the best word to put it. Another word that comes to mind that I think explains it even better is unhinged. And I think, th this will be a cue for spoiler alert. So, John, if you could cue up the spoiler alert icon for me, that would be great. But the film altogether, I feel like the editing and the way it was filmed and presented was honestly very good. I feel like they did a great job with it where they, kind of play out the beginning, establish what is going on in the movie up to that point, and kind of, establish some characters, the events, the narration from the child of, what happened in their classroom and, everything that's, kind of occurred. And from there, I think the biggest point of where it split was the gas station scene, where the father met up with the school teacher and wanted to, I think, question her a little bit more about stuff she's seen. And in that moment, I believe, principal started running down, did the same exact run as what all the kids did in the footage of them running away from home at 2:17 in the morning. And I think that's exactly the point of where things really broke loose. And they showed half of that scene and all of the edits I had seen up into that point. I think that was the most heavily played snippet of the movie I had seen on social media. And the way that they kind of stopped it there and then began to split off in different characters from going from for example, the police officer. And we had previously seen that, there's speculation of the police officer cheating on his significant other with the teacher. That was confirmed in one of those, scenes that took a split there. And, from there, it kind of broke loose into, how he came about being involved in this whole charade and, um, had a crazy scene chasing after, a we'll say, I guess a a, a user, to put it lightly here for a podcast setting, and chased him, got a little crazy, in the chasing scene, but then claimed that through him robbing somebody's house, which was a crazy scene, which, they also did split off into, viewing how he kind of established things within this whole setting. Um, he found the kids in the basement of the classmate who was, you know, unaltered, showed up at school, which was already a big question mark. But we found out why. And, he went down to the basement to try to loot more things. And going down to the basement, he sees all the kids and they quickly turn around to him, and was a pretty like bone-chilling scene. It was pretty creepy. And then you see the parents just sitting on the couch facing the wrong way. They both get up, try to get after him. And he hit the road. So they go back later and the policeman, obviously goes in. He's chilling in the police squad car until nighttime is when they flash forward to, and then he gets dragged right into the house as well. Later on, they play a factor into the parent of Matthew, and I believe it was Matthew, and the school teacher, just leading back to the house as they were already kind of investigating it. And they get let in and instantly started getting attacked by the grandmother, kind of snapping the stick and causing things to go crazy because she's the one that's in control of everybody. It's through some voodoo or witchcraft. And from there, it went crazy. And that's where this movie got really, really gruesome, was through the grandmother and what she made, the parents do. There's a scene with, them poking themselves in the face with a fork, and good Lord, cringy. Made me want to turn away because it was just like, oh, stop. And same thing with, the principal and his scene. I won't go into too much detail, but that was crazy. And then the ending of the movie where, really the kids kind of get their revenge in a way where, the classmate adds, his, blood to, the witchcraft stick and then has them go attack the grandmother instead. In that ending scene was absolutely ruthless. Was crazy. Again, unhinged, gory, had weird, dark humor, I guess if you want to put it that way. But overall, suspenseful, scary. I feel like the movie was filmed very well. I can see why it did well. Um, you'd have to be into it though. Like that's a movie that you're just kind of like some of the scenes you'd think about for a bit and you're like, crazy, questionable. But overall, good film. I think we briefly heard John's, small details on what he thought on it. But yeah, curious. I guess we'll catch back up with him, when he returns. But overall, yeah, fun movie. And was glad it's on streaming. We talked about it last week. Streaming obviously provides the opportunity for a lot of folks who can't always make it to a movie theater, to be able to watch at home and the convenience of home. And thankfully, it was released today, and it came out, at a good time. Good release date, Halloween week. Certainly a film that you'd coincide with Halloween spooky season. So, yeah, overall, hopefully everything's good with John and his kiddo. Parenting obviously number one. Something that important to go take care of. So, but I was more than happy to finish this one off. Glad I was able to kind of go over the NFL this week, NBA, MLB recap. Let's do a quick little refresh here before we sign off. See if there's a final result we can announce here on the podcast. If not, then it's still going to be TBD. Yet still TBD. Top of the 18th, 2 outs, 5-5 still. Blue Jays have 2 on. I'm just curious as to what this does to pitching in the next games because they are certainly going through their bullpens. It is crazy. Oh, and John's stopping back in. I'll catch you up real quick. I was actually you beat me kind of signing off. But
Oh.
I but totally fine. I just said parenting obviously number one.
Yeah.
And I went over how this Dodger game's still going on.
Yeah.
Top of the 18th. I did do some quick research while yapping away and looked up what was the longest World Series game ever. It was 2018 with the Dodgers Red Sox. Max Muncy, game 3, walk-off home run.
Yep. I think I remember that one.
So I was saying, how ironic would it be if Max Muncy gets that opportunity here in the bottom of the 18th again? He
He,
is 0 for 7 with 3 strikeouts this game. He's due, I guess, if you
he's
want to put
due.
it that way. Toronto 2 on. I also mentioned don't know what this is going to do for pitching the rest of the series. Bullpen certainly being used
Mhm.
up like crazy on both ends of the of the ball with both teams. Another thing I wanted to mention, or I did mention, uh, Otani's game. Four
Yeah.
for four, 3 runs, 2 jacks, 3 ribbies, but 5 walks.
Yep.
And I referenced Barry Bonds' World Series against the Angels back in the early 2000s. And I don't know because that was right in the wheelhouse of how much he was intentionally walked back then.
Hmm.
I don't know if he ever got 5 walks in a game. Um, so that was something I mentioned, and I literally the only comparison I could kind of think of.
Hmm.
But I also mentioned can't really blame Toronto walking him so much. The dude's been
No.
on fire the last 3, 4 games.
Yeah, no, I don't blame them for doing it, especially after hitting 2 home runs. In the seventh, he tied it for the Dodgers. So with him up, I would be doing the same thing to Otani.
Hmm.
I wouldn't be pitching to him, letting everybody else try to hit because everybody else is struggling to hit, honestly. I think Freeman's doing decent. Like I say, Mookie Betts has been not so great. Muncy hit some big ones. Like I say, Andy Pajas, it was good that they pulled him, but Alex Call has one more hit, than him in 3 appearances.
Hmm.
So, like I say, it's good. Bullpen game next or tomorrow. Like I said, Otani's pitching. I don't think he could do what Yamamoto does. I don't think he could do what Blake Snell does. I think he'll be pitching 6, maybe 7 if he could keep it to a low pitch count, but we're gonna have to rely on the on the bullpen again. But I don't know how much they'll have after this. I'm looking at who's pitched. Like I say, Sasaki, I think he could go maybe 2 innings.
Got
Um,
Kershaw in there.
they got Kershaw in there for an out, a big out. Um, but yeah, like I say, it might be a Kershaw game too. Bring him
Yeah,
in.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Alejandro Kirk's been great this series too
Hmm.
for Toronto.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
I believe out of Tijuana, Mexico.
Yeah.
Great catcher. I think he had an All-Star game or All-Star year a couple years back.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I, just kind of underwhelming last couple seasons, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. But this World Series has been phenomenal. Had a home
Yeah.
run
No.
today.
Yeah. No. He's been hitting it for them. Vladdy, he's been well. Springer, I think Springer going down probably hurt them a little bit.
Hmm.
Especially that morale because Springer was a big bat for them throughout this series and all the other
Oh yeah.
series. Like I say, Scherzer pitched pretty well. Um, it's going to be winner of this game. I think whoever wins this game, and if they can win the next game, I think they have the advantage. After a tough game like this, like I said, we're going mid 18th, so let's see if we can pull it off. Two
Huh.
games in one day.
Muncie's due up. Muncie's
Yeah,
due up.
like I said,
Could
maybe.
happen.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it still saw it was on while I was putting the kiddo down. Apologies that had to go, but
Nope, that's number one.
like I say, we always talk about it. Family number one, so got him down. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's baseball.
I did go over NBA. I
Okay.
zoomed through a few topics here, John.
Yeah.
We were cruising,
Yeah.
cruising, cruising, cruising. But I did talk VJ Edgecombe, absolute
Yeah.
baller, historical
Yes.
start for him and Tyrese Maxey without
Hmm.
Embiid, and they're undefeated.
Yeah.
Wembayama,
I'm
the
beyond.
monks did him right.
Yeah.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I did mention his 26 free throw attempts that he had, I think last
Get.
game,
Yeah, I think
and
it was
then
his first
only
game, or was it his first game?
I think it was either
Or
the last game or the game before. I think his first game he had like 14.
yeah.
And then I think he had 26
Hmm.
the game after. And today he only had 2. And maybe
Yeah.
that explains why he only scored 21 points.
Yeah. I think it was the second game he only had like 4 or 5, something like that.
Oh,
So
there you go.
he has his days. So I think if you do prop bets with him, if he has a low shooting free throw game, next one, bet the over.
Yeah,
It almost likely hit
we'll
the
go back to it.
over the way it's been looking like. But yeah,
Yeah.
still getting away 4-0. That team looks solid. Um, Cooper Flag looking good. Like I say, he's a rookie, so can't really be expecting much out of him.
Mentioned not a great game today, though. Two
No,
points,
okay.
but
Oh,
shoulder injury is what
okay.
contributed to that, is what I
Yeah.
said I believe happened.
Yeah.
Um, he's only 18, is another topic I
Yeah.
talked about. And there's a lot more time for him, but
Hmm.
I did kind of have the take, John, where I don't think he's ever going to be an MVP, but I do think he'll be
Mm.
a consistent all-star.
I could see that. I could see him being a consistent all-star. a top player on his team, but I don't know if he could take a team entirely on his own. I think he's
Yeah.
gonna need that supporting
Hmm.
role, that, Kyrie type player, someone at the guard with him. Which when Kyrie comes back and if he could get healthy and gets his groove in, this Maverick team could be very dangerous with Anthony Davis.
Oh, very
You
much so.
know, Clay Thompson, Clay's still on the team, right?
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
not a great shooting night. I think he
not
went like
yeah,
3 of 10.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I saw a stat. Like I said, for the Mavericks, it was like I don't know if the last game or two games before, it was like 47 points between Anthony Davis, Cooper Flag, and D'Angelo Russell, with D'Angelo Russell just having 1 point. I was like,
yeah.
what? You guys had to bring that out.
Speaking of which, now that you bring up and D'Angelo Russell 1 point. I saw somebody. I think his page is dedicated to putting music coinciding with people's performances, and with D'Angelo Russell having 1 point. I think it was 2 assists and 3 rebounds. They did ABC by Michael Jackson. A B. It's one, two,
Oh,
three, and then they put his face on the Jackson Five, and it
that's
was
hilarious.
hilarious.
That's good.
Yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
account.
No, yeah. But yeah, NBA is getting up and running.
Yep,
Um, all lunk
keep
team.
winning.
We're doing decent. We're doing okay.
Hmm.
Looking well. So I'm curious to see how we keep it up for the entire year. Because like I say, we are a very much older team, and we did it. Freeman,
Oh, walk
homer,
off.
walk off home run.
Did it again.
Bottom of fucking Freeman.
And
There we
bottom
go. Bottom of the 18th.
ties the record then.
Yeah.
Oh, but the hours wise, this game started at 5, right?
Yeah, like 5:15. I don't think
So
it's
6 hours, 40 minutes ish.
yeah.
And I think the record was 7 hours, 20 minutes with that other Dodger game.
Yeah.
Um, Freddie, man, I will say, not a fan of the Dodgers, obviously, but Freddie Freeman, I really like. I think
Yeah.
he seems like a great human being.
Yeah.
Just an incredible hitter and role model as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah,
Great
solid
guy.
dude. Solid dude. Like I say, the Braves, we talked about it last week. Braves sort of fumbled that bag because from all the reports before he came to our team, he wanted to stay in Atlanta. That's where he wanted to retire.
Yeah.
That was his home. They fumbled the bag. We gave him the bag. He came here. He's winning championships. If we could win the World Series and he does this game and he puts up a few more homers or game-winning plays, this guy's going to retire a Dodger because he brought us two championships in back-to-back years next to Otani, who has pitched like remarkable.
Yep.
So great. I'm glad we won. It's stressful. 18. It's pretty much watch every Dodger fan right now has watched two games.
It's
Uh,
insane. That might be the tipping point game right
yeah,
there. Taking the wins out of the sale after 18 innings
yeah,
is quite a defeat,
yeah.
especially without Springer now.
Hmm.
Um, that might do it, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
yeah,
But Freddie, so clutch. Yeah,
yeah,
first ballot Hall of Famer as well, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. No,
Mm.
for sure. I think Freddie first ballot Hall of Famer. What he's done, multiple championships with multiple teams. Um, like I say, I'm glad it's him. This guy freaking earns a leader of our team.
Hmm.
Um, Otani too. Like I say, I you think they're gonna pitch to Otani tomorrow?
No,
No,
I think we'll see more walks.
you see more rocks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
but
you have to after his last pitching game, what he's done the first three games against Toronto, you can't. That's the way to sort of take us out.
for sure. And what's crazy to say is he's very valuable on the base pass too.
Hmm.
He's a great base runner. Gets a
Yeah,
lot of steals, obviously 50-50 year last year.
yeah,
Um, First ever. Dude can do it all.
yeah,
So, you're walking him,
yeah,
you're not much better spot
yeah,
necessarily.
yeah.
But
No, so but yeah, so big win for us. I'm happy we won this game. Hey, if we could win two more, if Otani wins it, Blake Snell gets that redemption game to sort of be an all-time postseason, pitcher because that his first game pitched decently, but once he came out, it was over for us. So
For sure.
uh, let's see what we could
I
do.
Another thing I'm thinking about right now, obviously 11:50 is late for us here,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking about people in Toronto that are up until almost 3 a.m. now.
Yeah.
And they got to get up for work tomorrow, I'm sure.
In about 2 hours.
It's going to be a sleepy ass morning for
uh,
Toronto.
but over under 50% of the city of Toronto calling out. It's probably
Calling out.
over.
Yeah. Hey, gonna be a little
Yeah.
tardy.
Don't feel well because I drank too much drinking for 2 games in one night.
Hell yeah. And
You
how,
know the what is it? The 999 challenge that they do? Like
oh
9 beers,
gosh.
9 hot dogs, 9
Double.
whatever. You got to do double. It's 18, 18, 18, 18. I would be done
Uh,
for a few days.
I would be deceased. I think I could probably do an 18-inch dog with an 18-ounce beer.
Yeah.
That's about it. Let's call
Yeah.
it that.
Well, maybe two of each for two different game, like,
Yeah.
for
Oh
two
yeah.
games, something like that.
Whenever I
But
watch
yeah,
those challenges, I just think of the yak fest I'd have
oh yeah,
afterwards. There's
yeah.
no
That it
way.
just sounds so bad. You need, like I said, I think the Yak did it with Barstool, but they had
Oh yeah.
Joey Chestnut. Like I said,
Oh,
yeah, if I had him, I could do it.
oh,
But
he's 1A. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, great win for the Dodgers. Stressful, 18 innings, man. Haven't seen this in a while, so I'm glad we won out of this because, like you mentioned, momentum's going our way with Otani, one of our aces, going up tomorrow. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, that was that. Weapons recap. Did you?
I
Yeah,
went into it all,
yeah.
Jen.
You
The
liked it
one thing
overall?
though,
Or
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. So I did. You'll see my cue where I
yeah,
say, "Oh, spoiler alert!" Do that
yeah,
icon like you did last week, which was great.
yeah,
But as far as weapons go, the best way I could label it was completely unhinged.
hmm
But I did comment on how much I enjoyed the way it was filmed.
yeah.
I think that the buildup to a certain scene, which was the gas station scene,
Oh yeah,
where the father and the teacher met,
yeah,
and then you have the principal, right,
yeah,
come running up, obviously going crazy like zombie
yeah.
mode, and it stops there. Like every trailer you see, a
hmm
snippet of the movie, you see a continuation of that scene. I feel
Yeah.
like, you didn't necessarily know it was going to stop for a
hmm
part. And then you split off into these different folks' viewer
Yeah.
points where we find out, who's controlling these
hmm
things, and it's through voodoo, witchcraft, if you want to put it that
Yeah.
way. Um, but I went over the police chase scene,
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
The poor kiddo having to sit at his table watching his parents take a fork to their face was another one
Yeah.
I mentioned, which I said arguably the most cringy part of the entire film.
hmm
Um, but crazy how it was filmed in
Yeah.
just every aspect leading up to
hmm
that point, from the
Yeah.
principal to I labeled him the user,
Yeah.
the police officer
Yeah.
into one scene.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I enjoyed a lot because it's just a different type of horror movie where it shows different perspectives and it all leads to this one point at the end of the film, which also was some of the most craziest scenes, especially
Oh,
the last
nuts.
part when the little kid breaks the stick and then they just go after the ant. Like that was the way it ended. I was
Yeah.
like surprised in the theater. People cheered. They were happy about it. But like I say, it's one of those experiences. Like in the theater, it was pretty fun.
But like her on the grass, like, do we need to see all of that? I'm just like, man,
Yeah,
just that's why I said unhinged. But
yeah,
it's great, very good film
hmm
overall. And
yeah.
I did also mention it's one that leaves you just kind of thinking about certain scenes, like man,
Oh yeah,
it was crazy.
it does. It does. So yeah, if you ever watched it, Weapons, like I said, we aren't sponsored by HBO Max, but we like it. It's a great movie. We support things we actually like here, so that's a good one on HBO Max. I don't know if you talked about it, but the It series.
I
Uh,
did. I did preface this, viewers beware portion.
yeah,
I went into, how I saw the It movie and how they're making a series out
yeah.
of it, and I said the release date is great, especially in comparison to Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
Stranger Things in November is kind of
Yeah.
Waited too long. Come on.
Yeah.
But the viewers beware. This is where I said I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. First 10 minutes of the show, insane.
Oh,
Last 15, 20 minutes of the show, insane. How they opened up this series, it's the craziest opening of a TV series I've seen. And it really
oh.
brings, if you've watched the It movies, it sort of brings that horror and goreness into the TV show, which I am somewhat surprised because it's a TV show.
Hmm.
But it's HBO. HBO does Game of Thrones, does a lot of intense stuff.
I
So
mentioned
not
that.
so
They'll
so
show
not
anything.
yeah, not too surprised, but yeah, like I say, if you haven't watched the first episode, you should try to watch it, Tim. I think it's really great.
Okay.
Disturbing, honestly, at times, and
Oh
I'm
boy.
curious where they're gonna take this show because I'm sort of lost of what how the story connects, but I think we'll find out more with time. So watch that yesterday because, like I said, it was brand new. I like the
Hmm.
horror. Next episode, I think they're releasing Halloween instead of on Sunday, so Friday. It'll
Oh,
be cool.
okay, nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's great. I is this show in series altogether a weekly release?
yeah. So every
Okay.
Sundays. Yeah,
Okay. Very nice.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
So something to
Well,
watch.
no, you just said Sunday. Yeah, right before
Yeah, yeah,
that. My bad.
yeah. No worries. But yeah,
Yeah.
so Sundays. But yeah, great so far. Great series. Like I say, I think it's more just gory. The guy that I was surprised to see in the show, and I told Vera he's blowing up. Rudy from Vine. I forget his last name. The guy that would always play the
Oh, with the
piano.
slick hair.
Yeah, Mosky.
Yeah. Oh,
I think
he's
it
in
was like
this?
he's in it.
Mangiano or something like
Manji and
that.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's in it. I was surprised to see him because, like I said, I've seen him in like smaller shows, small
Yep.
parts, but not a main actor, but still a big piece I think of the show. But he
Rudy
was in it.
Mancuso. My bad.
Mancuso. Yeah, it was something with an M. But yeah, he's in the show, so pretty cool to see a Viner who started off in Vine and TikTok and now making it into the big screens.
For sure. Yeah, no, and this goes back to a take that I believe you previously had, John, of how we are going to see
Hmm.
an award-winning actor come out of TikTok
TikTok,
or
yeah,
Vine's the equivalent. We'll take
yeah,
that too. So if
yeah,
Rudy gets that, I think he's getting close.
yeah. He's getting close, so it was cool to see him on it. So if you're a fan of him, watch the show as well. But great first episode. Scary, like I say. Viewer discretion, viewers beware. Viewer discretion is advised. Don't watch it with your kids. It's a clown show, but it's not inappropriate clown show.
Yep.
But yeah, really cool show. So wanted to touch on that and just mention it to you.
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm glad you were able to make it back to
Yeah,
elaborate on the viewer discretion. Kind of
yeah,
figured it was going to be around those lines,
yeah,
but it's good to hear it from yourself. So,
yeah,
yeah, no, honestly, it was good.
yeah. Awesome.
The more unhinged shows with unhinged movies,
Yeah,
so it's fitting.
yeah. It's very fitting. Yeah, like I say. But yeah, that's today's episode. Thank you to Tim for holding it down while I had to go take care of a few things. I know we mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, but we are going to probably take a 2 week break, prepping
Mhm.
for our trip next week. So it'll be hard for us to record and edit while packing bags for for kids
Oh
and
yeah.
ourselves while working. So, and we'll be back the following week on Tuesday, I think. So,
Mhm.
but to what is it? We'll be back in November, bringing you guys back a lot of takes. Anything we do in Hawaii, clips and stuff, we'll probably post that. And yeah, we'll reshare some of our favorite clips
For
of the
sure.
last 61 episodes we've done.
Yeah, no, love it. Yeah, we'll definitely have, a lot of stuff to fill in. I'm sure we'll be making, I'm planning on making, some videos, montages of the
Hmm.
day, as we mentioned before, maybe even going live. So stay tuned for
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Especially with all the fun activities that, are there to explore on the island.
Yeah.
But yeah, like John said, lots of prep, especially for a 5-hour plane flight. Anytime you go
Yes.
to the airport in general with kiddos, it's a task. Anybody,
Uh,
parent, auntie,
uh,
uncle, grandparent, you all know.
Yeah, it's our first time flying, so a little
Okay.
nervous. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
big test for us. We said if we could get through this well, we know we could fly with Keanu and continue taking more trips. So we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes for us.
We're starting big, John. Yeah,
Oh
5 hours.
yeah.
But hey, if kiddos can nap for a bit of that,
hmm
it's all good. Snacks,
Yeah.
snacks galore is
Oh
what
yeah.
gets us through it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
We're taking a lot of snacks. We're doing all that stuff.
yeah,
Tablet. We are practicing games, and then we're gonna take it away. Make sure he's fiending for it the day of, so
yeah, there you go.
he's
Smart.
excited for it.
Yeah, and it's all
uh,
worth it because once you get there, we're all there in paradise. So,
yeah. Yeah. It'll be fun.
looking forward to it. Lots to film.
hmm
Small stuff over there, and
hmm
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys I guess a week, but a couple weeks for the back on the normal episode.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Enjoy Halloween for those going out. Stay safe.
Yes.
Enjoy the candy, and yeah, we'll see you guys on the flip
Brush
side.
your teeth after.
Yes.
Peace.